What Orkambi is or what it does, but I do think it is important to remember that we are talking about only the second precision medicine for cystic fibrosis to be licensed here in the United Kingdom. And it's rightly been licensed for use in the UK by people with that specific form of cystic fibrosis who are over the age of 12, and both the Scottish Medicines Consortium and NICE have recognised that it is a beneficial treatment. However, neither of those bodies have recommended Orkambi for general use on the NHS, meaning that unless on compassionate grounds, in certain rare cases, many people with cystic fibrosis across the UK are simply unable to access Orkambi. And given what it can do, it's no surprise that many Scots with cystic fibrosis were disappointed by the SMC's decision not to recommend Orkambi for general use on the NHS in Scotland in May 2017. And whilst I've received a number of campaign emails ahead of today's debate, it was two pieces of very personal correspondence which convinced me of the need to come along today and to speak. And both came from grandparents of a young person battling cystic fibrosis. Mr Alexander from Newton Mearns, whose grandson is 11, and Mrs Marshall from Eaglesham, who wrote to me regarding her 7-year-old grandson, saying, "Through vigorous twice-daily physiotherapy and the many sports he enthusiastically takes part in, he has not lost too much of his lung capacity yet. He is a very sociable and clever child, and it is heartbreaking to know that this disease, which could be, at the very least, slowed down or almost eradicated by these new drugs, is not available to him. Please, too many people are suffering more than they need to and dying unnecessarily young because of the delay in approving Orkambi." Yes, of course.
Friend, for giving way. I am also here because of the number of constituents that have been in touch with me, but also because I lost a friend of mine, Lucy, at the age of 19. She had so much to give. She had talent, and she was the most caring person that you could ever meet. She dealt with this in an incredibly dignified manner, and I would urge the Minister to take that same dignity when he's dealing with his response today.
I thank my honourable friend for that powerful intervention, and I think she sums up so powerfully why Vertex, the SMC, NHS Scotland, NHS England, NICE do need to work together to find a way to make Orkambi available on the NHS, not just in Scotland but in England and right across the United Kingdom as soon as possible. And I do understand that confidential talks are ongoing, and I hope very much we'll see a positive conclusion. But there is no reason to assume that an agreement can't be reached. We've seen right across Europe, in the Netherlands fairly recently, deals being struck to allow the drug to be made available. And yes, of course.
Just on that very point, the fact that big pharma have a very strong lobby. And there are those within that industry who will lose out if a drug such as this were to be licensed and used in the UK. There are those who will be fighting tooth and nail to ensure it does not get across the line. I'm just wondering if the Department and the Minister can maybe answer this. If those sorts of considerations are put in place whenever they're assessing a new drug, that there are those who will not want it to see the light of day.
I thank the member for that intervention. I suspect the Minister has listened very carefully, and I'd be interested to know what the response to that is too. I'd just like to finish just by extending kind of my hope that we're able to get this drug licensed to more children, because, as I said, the current licence is only for age 12 and above. And in January, the European Commission did extend the marketing authorisation for Orkambi to include children aged between 6 and 11, like those young people whose desperate grandparents took the time to contact me. And of course, just days ago, the Republic of Ireland became one of the first EU countries to make Orkambi available to children aged 6 and over. So I do hope that Orkambi will not only become available on the NHS in the near future, but that Vertex will make a further submission to the SMC so it can also be available to 6 to 11-year-olds, as well as those aged 12 and over. Cystic fibrosis is a serious life-limiting condition, and Orkambi can help give people with the condition as long and as healthy a life as possible, both in Scotland and across the UK. And there should be no unnecessary delay in extending access to it, both in terms of age and in terms of availability on the NHS.